ring through from the United Nations headquarters? Are you saying that the word of people like Shoaib Loan should not ring through from the UNHRC building in Geneva? Surely they
Sir, I don't
deserve
want,
to be heard as much as any of us. In fact, more than any of us.
sir, I don't want to say anything. I just want to request my government to come up with a firm policy on Kashmir and the internal issues. On one side, you exchange sweets with Pakistan on our Independence Day. You play cricket with Pakistan. You have trade ties with Pakistan. Then suddenly you go to UNHRC and you come up with, oh, Pakistan is doing this. Bhai, at least come up with a policy. And then for the last 1 year, our government, union government, has not been uttering the
Can I
word
make a point,
Pakistan.
Jaka?
What is there? Why
Okay.
are we going into
RP
this
Singh
proxy kind
respond and
of
then
a
I'll go to
war with
Tarakarta after
Pakistan?
that. RP Singh
This is
respond.
unfortunate, RP Singh ji. Please, aaj aap
Okay,
maafi
let him respond.
please.
You've made specific sort of accusations against the central government and its policies vis-a-vis Kashmir. So let him respond. RP Singh and then Tarakarta after that.
Very categorical, one-line statement that is no, there can be no talk with terrorism. Terrorism and talk can't go together, and there's a stated policy of Prime Minister Modi's government, and we stand steadfast by that. Rest all can happen. I mean, something happens at border because of the mutual exchange. That doesn't mean that we are having talks with them. And yes, they need to be exposed to the world. Terrorism need to be exposed to the world wherever it happens. And
Terrorism and cricket can go together.
Thank
Thank
India,
you.
they have been trying to. Can I?
Kindly
Can I,
go.
sir? Thank you so much, Majid Hadri.
Kindly, sir. Kindly.
I'll meet you tomorrow and then discuss this in detail with you when I meet you in person also. But issue stands the same. Issue is that cricket is not happening because of the talks. I mean, there's a separate issue. I mean, someone goes and promote a movie there in Pakistan, it's immaterial. But yes, there can be no talk with Pakistan on any subject till the time they stop sending terrorists to India.
No, Dr. Tarakarta, one of the problems for India in trying to, put the version of victims of terrorism out there in global fora like the UNHRC is every time Kashmir is raked up, you have a whole bunch of countries that come together. The Organization of Islamic Countries always backs Pakistan in its position on Kashmir. In fact, in the last meeting that happened of the UNHRC in September 2021, the OIC had raised the Kashmir issue, to which India came out with a strong rebuttal, calling the 57-nation bloc for helplessly allowing itself to be held hostage by Islamabad. At the 48th session of the UNHRC, India mounted an attack on Pakistan, saying that Pakistan has been globally recognized as a country openly supporting, training, financing and arming terrorists, including UN-prescribed ones. It also went on to say that India does not need lessons from a failed state like Pakistan. And yet, Dr. Tarakarta, and you're aware of this, you see this bandying about of countries, whether it is Iran, China, Turkey, Malaysia, who all come together in common cause for Pakistan and its position on Kashmir. Whereas when India tries to put out its point of view and the stories of these unfortunate victims, not even our allies stand with us.
Zaka, for one thing, I have been a very strong advocate of getting Kashmiris to talk about this problem. I've been saying this for years. I've written about it because, like I said, if you go to New York or if you go to Europe or anywhere, even a taxi driver knows about Kashmir. But if you ask them what happens in Gilgit-Baltistan, he's never heard of it. So I have been saying for very long, please let's present our point of view, and who better to present it than those who have suffered from this Pakistan policy.
Yeah.
That is absolutely without doubt. And I'm so glad that we are finally doing this. I don't think that argument that, we have cricket and therefore we shouldn't talk, that doesn't work. This is something of putting your own narrative on board and telling people what it's about. And our allies, let's face it, in all battles you stand alone. Right, in any case, this is international relations. It is not a bye-bye friendship or anything like that. In international relations, you fight your own battles. However, the US-Pakistan relationship, the UK, everybody now, who listens to Pakistan? Who listens to what they have to say? They've become such a joke. You see? So also thereby, when India and in Pakistan start sparring at the UN saying, okay, Pakistan done this, that and that, it is never as effective as a Kashmiri standing up and saying it. I saw this. in the US. I saw a pundit stand up and he had tears pouring down his eyes as he spoke. That was 1,000 times more effective and true than anything a government can do. So, this is something I'm very happy that the government is doing.
You know, Dr. Kamar Chima is also joining us. Two parts to my question, Dr. Chima. One is Pakistan's record of exporting international terrorism. As the Foreign Minister Jaishankar said in the United States last week, India is an exporter of IT, information technology, and Pakistan is also an exporter of IT, international terrorism. And this is now a proven track record over a 30-40-year period. And secondly, this is coming on the back of, I mean, you don't need me to tell you, Dr. Chima, about the economic problems that Pakistan is undergoing. IMF bailout, World Bank knocking, and you had a former Prime Minister who was crying all sorts of conspiracy against the United States, so much so that he lost his hold on power. The stock of Pakistan right now is so low that no one is taking this, this narrative that Pakistan too is a victim of terrorism. That narrative is not being taken seriously anymore.
Well, the first thing is that once the South African Bishop Desmond Tutu said that do not raise your voice, improve your argument. The question is, India has a very big voice, but the argument of the Kashmiris is legitimate and this is being heard worldwide. So whatever India has been doing, the Kashmiris' voices are always been heard, and that is a challenge for India, one thing. The second, what Dr. Jaishankar mentioned, I think whatever the Dr. Jaishankar mentions, it doesn't have a value. Why? Because just yesterday, the UN General Secretary's advisor on the military affair met with the General Bajwa in New York, and he appreciated Pakistan's sacrifices in war against terrorism. And this has been a policy of the Europeans, American, British, and all the Arab countries. They appreciate. So what India says, that doesn't have a value. And whenever Dr. Jaishankar and anyone from India says that, oh, Pakistan is exporter of the terror, nobody trusts that because they understand this is a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan. So the value, every time Dr. Jaishankar, Prime Minister Modi, or anyone who is important in India talks something like that, that doesn't hold a ground, because the word bilateral in bilateral forums and multilateral forums, they have always appreciated Pakistan's effort for controlling, containing terrorism.
No, no.
Pakistan's policy
One second.
Clear,
this yesterday, today is Monday. Yesterday, Sunday, when an attack happened in Pulwama, the Director General of Police of Kashmir was on record to suggest that this has been done by elements from across the border, and this has been done because the Union Home Minister of India, Mr. Amit Shah, was landing in Jammu and Kashmir today, and therefore to try and disrupt that visit, this was done. This is said on record by the topmost police officer in Jammu and Kashmir, and you say that Pakistan does not have a track record of cross-border terrorism?
So who trusts the Jammu and Kashmir police officer? Who is responding to the Amit Shah? The one who is responding to the Amit Shah, who is a subordinate and salutes Amit Shah, you are trusting his voice? The
so
question is not.
Who then carried out the Pulwama attack, according to you? Or who then carried out what we saw last week in Udhampur?
Why the Indian police and the Indian army is getting paid billions of rupees every month? That is their job to find out.
Dr. Chima, you know, you can take a horse to drink water, you can't force it to. But let me ask General Katoch. The point is that whether we like it or not, General Katoch, Pakistan is able to spin this narrative. Yes, for the last few years, especially at the UNGA, whether it was an Imran Khan or this year, a Shahbaz Sharif talked about Kashmir, not too many people took it seriously. But somehow they're able to spin a narrative which sells with the OIC countries, it sells with countries like Turkey and Malaysia, and then there is almost this universal brotherhood sort of thing with Pakistan when it comes to the Kashmir issue. India simply doesn't have that luxury.
Zafar, there are a few countries. You take Pakistan, Malaysia, Turkey, and China. All of them have a common interest as far as hitting out at India is concerned. Now, increasingly, as India is becoming economically and militarily more powerful, we are becoming a competitor to the major countries. And none of them will be your friends in future, despite the fact that the US and the European Union have very good and close relations with India. But as India's heft rises, we will be seen as a competitor. And these countries love to use human rights as a whip to beat India with. They have been answered very firmly by the Prime Minister, by the External Affairs Minister, by our ambassadors, and everybody across the board. And actually, each one of them know the truth. Everybody knows what is happening on the ground, especially amongst the foreigners. And I meet so many of these people at the senior level, the diplomats and the decision makers, ministers and governments. We have meetings with them. And all of them say, yes, we know it. But yet they are not prepared to do anything about it because they still see Pakistan as a sort of a state which they can utilize to deal with the Afghan situation if it is so required. So to that extent, Pakistan is still there.
So General, I can understand countries like Turkey and Malaysia coming to Pakistan's rescue. What explains the United States upgrading Pakistan's F-16 fleet?
Yeah, you see, as far as that F-16 fleet, okay, they have given $450 million, right? Again, it is also very soft signaling to India that, listen, there are certain issues which are our core interests, like the war in Ukraine, and support us there. We have been, now India is not going to be bullied by any country. So okay. I think that stance has been made very clear. So when these pinpricks can carry on, let Pakistan get any amount of F-16, that doesn't make a damn difference. We'll handle it. One. Number two, I think it's very important to understand that we need to ignore this country. I haven't understood why we keep looking at, off and on these arguments keep coming, we start talking about Pakistan. This is a failed country, period. It will not rise. They have crossed the tipping point. They will handle their own problems if they can. Most likely they can't. But as far as India is concerned, we should seal off all relationship. No diplomatic relationship, no sports, nothing. As far as we are concerned, Pakistan is a non-entity, and it's high time we started treating it so. The BJP spokesperson has very rightly said, the government has made a very strong commitment. There will be no talks with that country. And now Pakistan is begging for talks. We said, no, we don't have to talk to you. They are irrelevant. We will solve this Kashmir problem. We will get back POK and we will get it back on our terms.
No, while I agree with General Katoch, in principle, yes, the fact is that we should not be giving so much airtime to Pakistan, because after all, it is a country which has had to go with a begging bowl, and this is the reality. It has had to go with a begging bowl to the IMF and to the World Bank. It is a low-income developing country. India is the 5th largest economy in the world. Pakistan is the 24th or 25th, last I checked. But the problem is that this terror tap never ends. Like I said, yesterday there was an attack in Pulwama. Last week there was an attack in Udhampur. And some of it, I guess, is par for course. But this terror tap needs to end, Majid Haidari. And fair enough, you talk about human rights record. But how come no one talks about human rights record of what's happening in Mirpur? Or what's happening in Gilgit-Baltistan? What is happening with the tens of thousands of Pakistanis who are protesting against Chinese projects in Balochistan? Fisher folks, poor folks who are protesting against these Chinese projects. How come they don't seem to have any human rights?
Zaga Sahab, firstly, I fail to understand this logic that if talks and terror can't go together, how can trade and terror go together? How can cricket and terror go together? How can sweets and terror go together? I fail to understand this.
No, but cricket and terror are not going together. We are not playing bilaterally. Trade and terror, there is very, very minimal trade that's going on. Pakistan, as you are well aware,
whatever we can even have,
as you are well aware, does not give India transit rights for trade into Afghanistan or to Central Asian Republic. So I don't know where you're making the connection that talks and terror don't go. Therefore, other things are also going.
I'll put forth a very simple point. My point is very simple. The policy of Indian state is that no foreign intervention or interference will be allowed on Kashmir.
Yes.
Now, if that is your policy, why are you showcasing the pain of Kashmir, be it true or fake or dramatized, whichever we are putting? Because there are even allegations against security forces at times. So why this kind of duplicity again on the part of BJP?
I answered this in part in the previous time that you spoke as well. Don't you think Shoaib Lone's story should not be put out there for the world? Don't you think Karambir Khan's story should be put out there for the world to know?
There is even story of Haidarpura girl who was weeping over the killing of her father. There are many stories which need to be told, but I am saying this is against the Indian policy of Indian state. So why are you making a mockery of your own policy? BJP basically doesn't have a policy on Kashmir, and that is what is getting exposed on the show. They
Okay.
knew how to abrogate 370, but they don't know how to take Kashmir forward. They have no plan on Kashmir, no policy on Kashmir.
Okay.
That is why
Arti
when
Singh,
Honorable Home
respond.
Minister
You
is
went and
coming to
abrogated
Kashmir,
Article
you have a
370, लेकिन
terrorist
उसके
strike.
बाद कुछ हुआ नहीं. आपने कहा कि आतंकवाद खत्म हो जाएगा. आतंकवाद तो अभी भी चल रहा है.
I thought Majid Hazri would have mended his ways, but he still is a Pakistan sympathizer. He's not improving on that. So he can stay with that. And in this country, one has liberty to be Pakistan sympathizer. And he's using that as an advantage to propagate the point of view of Pakistan. But that point aside, let's to Mr. Kamar Chima, is Pakistan still under Financial Action Task Force grey list or not from last 4 years? You're talking about that Pakistan is being acknowledged and recognized. I mean, everyone knows that where Osama bin Laden was found, where Hafiz Saeed is, where other terrorists, where people like Dawood are. I mean, everyone knows that. And then any activity which happens in the world which is related to terror, ultimately the roots come to the Pakistan. Everyone knows that. And then you can keep going around the world, but ultimately you have been exposed. Even the Gulf countries don't support you anymore. And then China has a limited role to play now with Pakistan. They also know that how Pakistan is using them, rather they're using the Pakistan. So you are exposed well in the world, and then yes, it's high time that people around the world should know what's happening on ground. Again, it's not only Hindu pundits or Kashmiri pundits, it's even Muslims who are targeted by terrorists.
Dr. Kamar Chima, if Pakistan state or elements within the Pakistan state have nothing to do with terror, pray may I ask you, why is it that Pakistan has been in the grey list of the Financial Action Task Force for the last 4 years? Surely somebody in your country must be doing something wrong.
Well, I think Pakistan stated policy is that we only support the Kashmir issue diplomatically, politically, and morally. This is the stated policy. But now coming to the question that why Pakistan is in a grey list, there are multiple angles to this. One is that we have been facing a strict American pressure when Americans were not having a deal with the Taliban, so they put us in the grey list, and the Indians took an advantage of that. The second point is that there are some of the UN security resolutions which were since long, which were pending on Pakistan, and they thought that this is the best time to invigorate those UN Security Council resolutions. And I think all Pakistan has implemented on those security resolutions. Hafiz Saeed has been sentenced. He's in the jail. The third thing is that now things are improving. Pakistan, the Americans have left the region, and the recent developments in the Washington over the period of time, things are improving, and Pakistan will be out of the grey list.
No, forget about what Pakistan is doing to India. Can you at least guarantee that what's happening in your northern border with Afghanistan, where again, Afghanistan is accusing Pakistan of the exact same thing that India accuses Pakistan of? You are taking advantage of that terrain, you're sending in foreign fighters into Afghanistan, giving them shelter in Pakistan. There's a massive refugee crisis that's happening at the border as well between both those countries. Surely, if your northern neighbor and your eastern neighbor are saying the exact same things about terrorism emanating from the soil of your country, there must be some truth to it.
It seems good to see that how you are just sympathizing with the Taliban, to whom against you have been fighting for so long.
No, I have no sympathies. No, I have no sympathies. I'm just pointing you to the direction of, similar things being said both by India and by Afghanistan.
It doesn't matter what the Indians say. It doesn't matter what the Taliban say. What matters is that the Taliban were hosting the Al-Qaeda and the ISIS, and Pakistan, along with the international community, has been telling them this is not acceptable. One thing. So right now the TTP, which is a globally designated terrorist organization, is hiding in Afghanistan, and Pakistan has all the right even to target inside.
कितना झूठ बोलेंगे आप?
So the
Where
point
was Osama bin Laden hiding? I mean, you make a mockery of yourself.
Who is this? Is this Majid Haider?
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
This is Majid
yes.
Okay, Majid Haider.
No, where was Osama bin Laden found?
For you, it is good to speak against Pakistan, to be a good citizen in India. I understand. For every Muslim in India, it is good to be anti-Pakistan, to be a good citizen in
You have been working for America all the time. You people always work for America. When did you speak for your nation or your people?
Pakistan? That is not your fault, my brother Majid Haider. You have to show your loyalty to
Can I just say one thing and I'll give Tara Karta the final word? No, one second. No, one second. No Indian Muslim needs a certificate of patriotism from Pakistani citizens. So thanks but no thanks. No, one second. And millions of Muslims in this country the day they decided to stay back in India in 1947 and not choose Pakistan.
Since that time, they
day,
have
no,
to
no,
show
that
their
day their
patriotism.
patriotism has
Since
been
that
proven.
day,
They don't need
since
to. They don't need
15
to.
August
Keep showing that to you
1947, every
75
Indian
years
Muslim
on.
have to
So
show
let's
the
leave.
loyalty to India.
Let's leave. Certificates of patriotism away.
Can you speak about
No,
Uyghur
you don't
Muslims?
need to speak on their behalf or
Yeah, I
address
can
their
speak about
concerns.
Uyghur Muslims. I
They're
can
fine.
speak.
Kindly do, kindly do, kindly do. Kindly let me know
I
what you
know.
want
I'll
to
give
speak about.
Dr. Tarakarta the
He's
final
just
word.
back from a
I come
junket,
back. I
sir.
come back to the point that I made a moment ago, Dr. Karta. India is not going to town at these international fora talking about how the Balochis are getting treated. India is so squirmish about talking about how the Uyghurs are treated in China. Why? I mean, these are documented. Why? The Uyghurs don't have human rights. The Balochis don't have human rights.
That's a good question, Zaka. But if I can just make one small point, the fact that these people were able to speak at an international forum, which means that Muslims in Kashmir have finally got a voice to say what they want against Pakistan. That is what this Kamar Chima should realize. They are saying the truth. Okay, so that in the sense, there is this small percentage of people who are creating this whole problem, and there's this large number of people who are suffering. They have chosen to speak out. That is the point. But on your question, yes, I wish we could speak more on the Baloch question. In fact, I would love to see people from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa at the UNHRC talking about how the Pakistan army is using force, bombing them in their own people, bombing their own people. That's what they're doing. And that's what we need to see in the UNHCR, in other forums, and the Baloch, how much they've been tortured. All of these people need a voice. Uyghurs, yes, of course they need. They need to be given a place as well. But for whatever reason we don't. But I think this is a good beginning. It's a beginning for us to set the picture right in terms of what Kashmir is about. That people have suffered, and you can only solve Kashmir if Kashmiris talk about it.
All right,
They
we'll leave it
have to
at that.
stand up.
I'm completely out of time, but I want to thank all our guests and let's see how this story plays out. Like I said, the Home Minister is in Jammu and Kashmir for the next 3 days. We'll see how the narrative there moves as far as Kashmir is concerned. Meanwhile, the other big story tonight is coming in from the Congress camp. The Bharat Jodo Yatra has entered Karnataka. It seems it's causing more problems to the Congress than the kind of boost that the party was hoping. Rahul Gandhi has found himself in the middle of a controversy, a needless one, some would say. A picture of Mr. Gandhi appeared on the Karnataka state flag. Both the BJP as well as Kannada groups have taken offense to it. Meanwhile, the state Congress president has been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate, and now it seems that DK Shivkumar is in no mood to appear before the Enforcement Directorate. But where does all of this leave the Congress party? First, the story so far.
They are using the Rahul Gandhi photo on Kannada flag. So Rahul Gandhi is not related to any Kannadigas. Please, Congress party has apologized Karnataka people.
ಮಠ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಠ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸಮಾಜದ ಮಠ. ರಾಹುಲ್ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ರಾತ್ರಿ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಬೇರೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಾನು ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಏನು ಸೂರ್ಯ ಬಿದೋಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಕೆಳಗಡಿಕೆ, ಸೂರ್ಯ ಚಂದ್ರ ಬಿದೋಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಟೈಮ್ ಕೇಳ್ತೀರಿ, ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು.
All right, RP Singh, spokesperson of the BJP, joining us. Mahima Singh, spokesperson of the Congress party. RP Singh, Congress for the last 24 hours has been circulating pictures of Rahul Gandhi speaking in pouring rain. The crowds there standing there listening to him, not going away because of the rain. And they are drawing comparisons to what we saw in 2019 when Sharad Pawar was campaigning in Satara in the middle of heavy rain. And they're saying this is the response that Bharat Jodo is getting. Are you nervous? Are you rattled?
I would have hoped that Rahul Gandhi could have risen to the stature of Mr. Sharad Pawar. But as Mr. Rahul Gandhi is, I'll send you more, because I don't have a TV next to me. I'll send you more pictures where I have pictures which categorically shows that there are empty chairs, and then there are certain sets of people who are standing with reverse chairs. Crowd only, which is limited to the workers of the Congress party. I have those pictures also. But yes, as far photo ops goes, it's very nice. But Jaka, this yatra from day one, I mean, deep side this rain picture, the picture which he delivered a lecture in a rain, during a rain, but downpour. But let's understand what's happening during the yatra, complete yatra. Right from the pastor who said, I don't believe in Bharat Mata, or I don't believe in Indian ethos or Indian culture. I'm not using the words which he has used, which are not up to the standard of any debate. But that point aside, after that, a girl being taken along, small girl wearing a hijab, sending a message to a certain section of people. Now, Karnataka flag carrying Mr. Rahul Gandhi's picture. So this clearly shows, I mean, how much this is Bharat Jodo or Bharat Todo. This people will decide, people understand, and what has been their stand on various subjects and issues. That's more important.
Okay.
Just going
Mahima
along
Singh,
path and then without expressing
flags
on certain
of,
issues. Give me a second.
Yeah. No, the flags appearing with Rahul Gandhi's picture. What explains that, ma'am? I mean, you can brush it aside, brush it under the carpet, saying it was a needless controversy, galti ho gayi. But surely, when the leader of your party is undertaking this massive Kanyakumari to Kashmir exercise, these things would have been vetted, I'm assuming, multiple times.
Of course, Mr. Jacob. I was listening to the BJP spokesperson now, and I felt that he was every bit rattled by the response. He's talking about empty chairs. I don't know where has he seen that, because I'm coming back from the duty at Bharat Jodo Yatra.
I'll send you the pictures.
And I can vouch that everywhere we have gone, we have been received by lakhs of people in a very heartwarming manner. You're talking about this picture on a flag. I was in Kerala, let me tell you, every single day. Wherever our hoardings were put up, we saw BJP coming up with Savarkar hoardings and flags everywhere. So you see that BJP is known for, introducing disturbing elements wherever, when Assam Dam Dand Bhed, when they can't deal with it in any other manner, they initiate something, or the likes of them initiate something in such a movement to...
No, but ma'am, surely it can't be your case that some BJP guys came and planted these flags. Is that what you're saying?
Some disturbing elements like them maybe, because this is certainly not the official stance of the Yatra. This is certain an official endorsement of any of the
Come with a better logic, ma'am.
Scheme. So it will be found out.
Come with a better logic.
Okay.
Or more rational logic.
Okay. Now can I come to the second controversy that's plaguing the Bharat Jodo, and that's peculiar now over the last week or so after Bharat Jodo entered Karnataka. RP Singh, DK Shivkumar being summoned by the Enforcement Directorate in the Young Indian case, he says the timing is suspect. You're only doing this to keep him away from Bharat Jodo, as Bharat Jodo is now in full steam in Karnataka. Please respond.
First, let me answer that two issues on Veer Savarkar's posters. They were pasted by congressmen, and later on they have put another poster on it. I mean, that's very clear on it. And also on this flag, I mean, how low can they go? I mean, and then what sort of arrangement they have? If we are planting things in their yatra, then it means they have failed as a party, as an organization. If we can plant flags or posters in their yatra. But coming to Shiv Kumar thing, there's a notice by ED. He has to be present. If he can't be present, then he has to give a reasonable point of view that yes, I'm not able to do so because of my health or some other reason, but not least because of political activity. And if he has something to do, he can go to court and take a recuse. But I seriously doubt that court is going to give them any leeway on that he can be part of Yatra and he can't be part of the investigation of the ED. Okay. Tomorrow there's an order by Supreme Court. For example, there's an order by Supreme Court. Can they deny that? I mean, they can't. They can't deny an order by Supreme Court or
So Mahima Singh, respond. I mean,
or any other investigation
you can't expect the investigating agencies to summon accused persons as per their convenience. I mean, surely needing to organize Bharat Jodo cannot be an excuse or cannot be a mitigating factor for why Mr. Shivkumar will not appear before the ED. He has to appear when he is called for by the agencies.
Well, before I come to your question, Mr. Jacob, I am reminded of Bhavani Prasad Mishra's very famous lines by looking at the bafflement of the BJP spokesperson. झूठ आज से नहीं अनंत काल से रथ पर सवार है और सच चल रहा है पांव पांव. And now coming to your question, let me just add whatever is whatever the ED has said to Mr. D.K. Kumar. I am reminded of the time when Mr. Khadge was summoned by the ED in the midst of a parliament session. And he did abide by that. He did go for that. And I'm very sure that every member of the Congress party upholds the rule of law, unlike the BJP that bulldozes law at every given opportunity.
Okay.
So Congress party and its members have always abided by and upheld the rule of law. And so will be the case going forward. I think it is only to be seen as you go, into the future.
Okay, let's see how much steam Bharat Jodo gets as it traverses not just southern India, but over the next few weeks as it moves into northern India. For the moment, I want to thank both R.P. Singh and Mahima Singh for joining us. We'll see whether Bharat Jodo can insulate itself from all the controversies, or will controversies be part, of course, if you will, of the Bharat Jodo. We'll take a quick break here on the program. When we come back, right on the other side, there is a massive explosion of helium gas that's taken place in Tamil Nadu. We'll have details of that story and a lot more when Brass Tack Superfast returns.
Bus fell into a roadside ditch in Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur district. The unfortunate accident happened in the wee hours of the morning. The injured were shifted to the hospital where they are undergoing treatment currently. 7-year-old child died during treatment after getting critically injured in an e-scooter blast in Mumbai's Vasai. A case has now been registered and further investigation has been initiated by the Manikpur police station. A fire broke out at a Durga Puja Pandal in Uttar Pradesh's Bhadoi district on Sunday evening, injuring more than 50 people and also killing a 12-year-old boy, unfortunately. According to the district magistrate, the fire started due to a short circuit. The fire brigade, however, brought the fire under control in an hour's time. As the Russian invasion of Ukraine enters its 8th month, an opera house in Kharkiv, which was hit and destroyed by a missile, has now been converted into a memorial. My colleague Sanjay Suri with this ground report.
This year behind is a memorial to those who died fighting and to those still fighting for Ukraine, fighting bloody battles and very difficult battles. And beneath that memorial, all around it, the sandbags and the flowers between them say just about everything that needs to be said about Kharkiv today.
Not many people walk by these flowers anymore or stop to look at them. Most people who lived around them have left. No tourist steps by to set eyes on them. But quite obviously, a lot of Kharkiv's gardeners have not left, and they are no more immune to missiles than anyone else.
Welcome back. Let's now take a look at some more stories doing the rounds from India and around the world. Congress leader Sonia Gandhi arrived at Mysuru airport today. She is all set to join the Bharat Jodo Yatra that's led by her son and Congress leader Rahul Gandhi on October 6th. Currently passing through BJP-led Karnataka, the Yatra is in its second stage and is all set to move with its 125 designated Yatris from Mysuru this Thursday. Security has been stepped up across Jammu and Kashmir with additional troops being deployed on highways and vital road links. Meanwhile, checkpoints have been increased in Srinagar and in Baramulla, Rajouri and other parts of the Union territory in view of the Union Home Minister Amit Shah's visit.
ahead of Union Home Minister Amit Shah's visit to Jammu and Kashmir. There's been tremendous security which has been deployed across the Srinagar as well as other districts. Clearly, Mr. Shah is going to hold two rallies, one in Rajouri, that's in Jammu, and another in Baramulla in the valley, where there's in every likelihood he's going to announce scheduled tribe status to people of the Pahari community. Now,
thousands of farmers gathered to mark the Lakhimpur violence anniversary in Uttar Pradesh's Tikonia. Farmer leader Rakesh Tiket was in attendance at the event. Heavy police was also deployed for security arrangements. Now remember, a total of 8 people, including a journalist and 4 farmers, were killed on October 3rd in 2021 in Lakhimpur Kheri. A film crew entering the premises of Gurdwara Panja Sahib without permission in Punjab province of Pakistan has outraged the Sikh community. The crew was also seen wearing shoes while shooting inside the Sikh temple. BJP leader Manjinder Singh Sirsa, while sharing a video of the incident that's dated September 29th, condemned the act and demanded the Indian government to intervene, take prompt action and also raise the issue with the Pakistani government.
सारा स्टार कास्ट जूतियां दे अंदर दिखाई दे रहा। एक श्रद्धालु ने इसकी वीडियो बनाई, जिसने वीडियो बनाई वो वीडियो च कहता सुन रहा है कि आपको पता ही नहीं है ये सिक्खी कैसे मिली है। लग रहा है कि वो भी मुसलमान है। 29 तरीक तो ये आदमी नहीं लभदा पिया। पुलिस प्रशासन ने शायद इस ते कार्रवाई करके इन्हू अंदर बंद कर दिता। और जिस गुरु घर के श्रद्धालु ने वीडियो बना के ये जनतक की लोगों ने जानकारी दी है, उसकी जान की राखी की जाए। पाकिस्तान की सरकार को तुरंत इन लोगों को फड़ के अरेस्ट करना चाहिए जिन्होंने गुरु घर की बेअदबी की।
The Aparvat Mountains in the Pir Panjal range of Gulmarg received its season's first light snowfall. Following the change in weather, several skiing resorts located in Baramulla area of North Kashmir have rejoiced at the opening of this year's business from the onset of the snowfall. The snowfall is the sign of the beginning of winter in the valley. 2 labourers died and another one was injured in a wall collapse incident in Gurugram today. The dilapidated wall fell on the labourers while getting demolished. With one injured sent to the hospital, efforts are currently on to evacuate the other labourers. One person died and several others were injured as a passenger bus fell into a roadside ditch in Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur district. The unfortunate accident happened in the wee hours of the morning. The injured were shifted to the hospital where they are undergoing treatment currently. 7-year-old child died during treatment after getting critically injured in an e-scooter blast in Mumbai's Vasai. A case is now being
Welcome back. We're getting some breaking news and some unfortunate news as far as Team India is concerned. Jasprit Bumrah, India's pace spearhead, has been ruled out of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup, which is due to begin in Australia in a couple of weeks from now. The BCCI medical team has ruled out Team India fast bowler Jasprit Bumrah from taking part in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Shivani is now joining us with more details on this. So, Shivani, how big a blow is this for Team India's chances at the World Cup, particularly given our recent woes around death bowling?
Absolutely, Zaka. This is indeed a very, very big setback for the Indian team. Jasprit Bumrah, one doesn't need to elaborate on how important he is as far as India's bowling lineup is concerned. He's the spearhead of the pace attack. He's a marquee bowler, someone who most batsmen around the world will be very careful against. So losing him will make the Indian bowling lineup fairly ordinary, given by recent performances in the T20 series against both Australia earlier and South Africa currently. The other day we leaked over 200 runs after scoring big. And before that in the Asia Cup as well. So this is going to be a huge setback. We don't know just yet exactly who's the replacement for him. The BCCI hasn't quite announced him, the replacement, as they, confirmed the fact that Jasprit Bumrah is going to be out due to a back injury. This was obviously known. This was something that, press agency PTI had earlier reported because he flew out to the NCA in Bangalore, but the BCCI waited for some of the tests, etc., to be conducted. And it is a second, back injury that Jasprit Bumrah is facing. He has been out earlier in 2019 with a similar issue. And it could well be that he's out for a few months, if not for several weeks. One amongst Mohammad Shami or Deepak Chahar could be drafted into the team because these are the two reserve pace bowlers in the reserve list that was announced for the World Cup. We are yet to know exactly which one is picked, but certainly a big setback, Saka.
All right, we'll leave it at that, Shivani, there with more details of why this could be a debilitating blow for Team India's chances at the World Cup. Meanwhile, talking about blows, an explosion, a huge one, happened in a market in Trichy. It left one person dead and several injured. It was because of a helium tank which burst.
A helium cylinder exploded in Tamil Nadu's Tiruchirappalli, killing one person while around 24 people got injured. The explosion happened in a busy marketplace, and being a weekend, the area was crowded with people. The victim was identified as Mathu Ravi and was seen smoking right next to the cylinder, which led to the explosion. As per initial reports, the helium cylinder belonged to a person who was selling balloons in the area and is missing. The cops have collected CCTV visuals of the incident and have started an investigation.
One person died and several others were injured as a passenger bus fell into a roadside ditch in Udhampur in Jammu and Kashmir. The unfortunate accident happened in the wee hours this morning. The injured have been shifted to hospital where they are undergoing treatment right now. A film crew entering the premises of Gurdwara Panja Sahib without permission in Punjab province in Pakistan has outraged the Sikh community there. The crew was also seen wearing shoes while they were shooting inside the Gurdwara. BJP leader Manjinder Singh Sirsa sharing a video of the incident. This is back from the 29th of September earlier this year. He condemned the act and demanded that the Indian government take prompt action and raise this issue with the Pakistan government.
सारा स्टारकास्ट जूतियां दे अंदर दिखाई दे रहा एक श्रद्धालु ने इसकी वीडियो बनाई जिसने वीडियो बनाई वो वीडियो च कहता सुन रहा है कि आपको पता ही नहीं है ये सिक्की कैसे मिली है लग रहा है कि वो भी मुसलमान है 29 तरीक तो ये आदमी नहीं लभदा पिया पुलिस प्रशासन ने शायद इस ते कार्रवाई करके उन्हें अंदर बंद कर दिता और जिस गुरु घर के श्रद्धालु ने वीडियो बना के ये जनतक की लोगों ने जानकारी दी है उसकी जान की राखी की जाए पाकिस्तान की सरकार को तुरंत इन लोगों को फड़ के अरेस्ट करना चाहिए जिन्हें गुरु घर की बेअदबी की
India got its first Made in India light combat helicopter, the LCH, today, and it was inducted into service by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh taking a sortie in newly inducted light combat helicopter Prachand. Dressed in flying gear, the Defence Minister climbed into the cockpit of the combat helicopter with his co-pilot. The induction of Prachand choppers into the Air Force is a big boost to its combat prowess. These choppers are capable of flying at very high altitudes and armed with a range of missiles. The LCH has a number of stealth features, armoured protection systems, night attack capability and crash-worthy landing gear for better survivability. The helicopter has been tested in the Ladakh region where India faces the threat of Chinese incursions. Developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, the Prachand helicopter will be the bedrock of the country's combat helicopter formations. 95 of these choppers will go to the Indian Army and almost 65 to the Air Force.
All right, let me tell you a little bit more about these light combat helicopters. They're twin engine. They've been designed and developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. They can target the enemy from a distance of about 2 kilometers. And the great advantage of the LCH is that it can take off and land at an altitude of 5,000 meters. Armed with 20 MV nose gun as well as 70 mm rockets, it has air-to-air missile capabilities as well, which can intercept up to 6.5 kilometers. It can fly for more than 3 hours without stopping at one stretch. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has arrived in Jammu and Kashmir for his 3-day visit to the Union Territory. Security has been beefed up across Jammu and Kashmir in view of the Home Minister's visit. He will be visiting the Mata Vaishno Devi temple tomorrow at 10 a.m. and then will hold a mega rally in Rajouri right after that. Congress interim President Sonia Gandhi today arrived in Mysuru. She's scheduled to join the Bharat Jodo Yatra led by Congress leader Rahul Gandhi on the 6th of October, a day after Dashara. Currently passing through BJP-ruled Karnataka, the Yatra is in its second stage and it's set to move with its 125 designated Yatris from Mysuru this Thursday. The wall of a multi-story building collapsed in Gurugram, killing 2 laborers.
2 labourers died and another was injured after the wall of a multi-storey building collapsed in Udyog Vihar Phase 1 area of Gurugram. The incident happened in the morning when labourers were carrying out demolition work of an old factory. The wall suddenly came crumbling, leaving the labourers trapped under the rubble. 2 floors of the 3-storey building have been demolished already. Police and fire departments soon reached the spot, while the State Disaster Response Force and the National Disaster Response Force was also called in. Rescue operations were called off around 11 a.m.
A 7-year-old child died during treatment after getting critically injured in an e-scooter blast in Vasai in Mumbai. A case has been registered and further investigation has been initiated by the Manikpur police station. Thousands of farmers gathered to mark the Lakhimpur violence anniversary in Tikonia in Uttar Pradesh. Farmer leader Rakesh Tiket was in attendance at the event. Heavy police was also deployed for security arrangements. A total of 8 people, including a journalist, 4 farmers, were killed on the 3rd of October 2021 in Lakhimpur Kheri. A massive fire broke out at a Durga Puja Pandal in Uttar Pradesh's Bhadohi.
3 kids and 2 women died while 64 others were injured after a fire broke out in a Durga Puja Pandal in Uttar Pradesh's Bhadohi district. Incident occurred during the Aarti ritual on the 7th day of the Navratri festival. Around 150 persons were present inside the pandal when the blaze broke out. Firefighters rushed to the spot and rescued the injured. The injured, mostly children and women, are currently undergoing treatment at various hospitals. As per the doctors, at least 5 of them are in critical condition. Preliminary reports suggest that the incident happened due to a short circuit.
Authorities in Delhi were put on high alert this morning after inputs were received about the possibility of a bomb on board an Iranian passenger flight while it was in Indian airspace. The Mahan Air flight reportedly sought permission to land in Delhi. After the plane was landed safely in Guangzhou, hours later, Mahan Airlines issued a statement saying that reports of a bomb on board the flight were fake and that the flight was completely safe. The carrier says it seems that the design of such reports was aimed at disturbing security. As the Russian invasion of Ukraine enters its 8th month, an opera house in Kharkiv, which was hit and destroyed by a missile, has now been converted into a memorial of sorts.
This year behind is a memorial to those who died fighting and to those still fighting for Ukraine, fighting bloody battles and very difficult battles. And beneath that memorial, all around it, the sandbags and the flowers between them say just about everything that needs to be said about Kharkiv today.
Not many people walk by these flowers anymore or stop to look at them. Most people who lived around them have left. No tourist steps by to set eyes on them. But quite obviously, a lot of Kharkiv's gardeners have not left, and they are no more immune to missiles than anyone else.
The USS Gerald R. Ford is ready to set sail. It is the most expensive warship in the world right now. It was procured at an estimated cost of $13 billion. It was inducted into the US Navy's TUCWAR fleet back in 2017. It uses electromagnetic systems for launching planes. It is named after the 38th President of the United States, Gerald R. Ford. The Buckingham Palace has unveiled a new portrait of the royal family. King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla are pictured posing at the palace together in their black mourning attire the night before the Queen's funeral. The photograph will now adorn the walls of the palace amid several other historic portraits. Massive cleanup drives have begun in parts of Florida after the state was battered by Hurricane Ian. Described as one of the largest natural disasters in Florida's history, at least 67 people died, and officials fear that that number could rise further. Several residents in areas are still dealing with the ramifications of the flood. What started off with the death of one woman in Iran, the anti-hijab protests are now intensifying across the globe.
The protests against hijab goes on. Dozens of protesters gathered in Beirut, Lebanon to show support for women's rights in Iran. The protests erupted after a 22-year-old woman died while being held by country's morality police. The demonstrators criticized the Iranian government. Some also waved headscarves similar to those of Iranian women. Similar protests were also seen in French capital of Paris. Thousands of people marched to show their support for Iranian protesters. Several female demonstrators cut off chunks of their hair and tossed them into air as a gesture of liberation. French feminist groups and leading politicians were among those who took part in the protests. Meanwhile, in Iran, over 90 women have lost their lives during protests. In the past 2 weeks, women rights activists have reported the killings of several people, including some security personnel, as government cracks down violently on mostly peaceful nationwide protests.
The Aphar Wat Mountains in the Pir Panjal range of Gulmarg received this season's first snowfall. Following the change of weather, several ski resorts located in Baramulla and North Kashmir have rejoiced at the opening of this year's business with the onset of snowfall. The snowfall is the sign of the beginning of winter in the valley. All right, Bharat Shakil joining you with News Epicenter now.
Hello everyone, good evening. You're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. The murder of Punjabi singer Sidhu Moosewala sent shockwaves around the world. His murder in broad daylight exposed the nexus of criminals who operate from jails and under the watch of the police, continuing their rackets with impunity and without fear. This has been highlighted by the brazen escape of one of the accused in the murder case, a gangster named Deepak Tinu. He is a close aide of jailed gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, the man who hatched the plot against Moosewala and is accused of providing logistical support to the shooters who gunned down the singer. Tinu fled from the custody of the CIA unit of the Mansa police while he was being brought on remand from Kapurthala jail. The Punjab police has launched a search operation to nab the gangster and has arrested and sacked the Mansa CIA unit in charge, Sub-Inspector Preetpal Singh. He has been accused of helping the gangster escape by taking him out of the police station in his own private vehicle. The opposition is raining fire on the Aam Aadmi Party government, accusing it of being hand in glove with criminals. Moosewala's family has accused Bhagwant Mann of looking weak in front of criminals, questioning his promise of swift justice. The Aam Aadmi Party, meanwhile, has accused previous governments for the police gangster nexus, claiming they are taking action against such black sheep in the police of Punjab. But amidst this blame game, who should the common man look to for justice and faith in the law and order machinery? Who has allowed this nexus to thrive? And given the high-profile nature of this case, is the Punjab government guilty of treating it with kid gloves?
ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਸਪਸ਼ਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਾਲੀ ਭੇਡ ਉਸ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਉਸ ਗੈਂਗਸਟਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲੀ ਹੋਈ ਸੀਗੀ ਤੇ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਦਾ ਔਰ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਐਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇਖੋ ਕਿ ਇਮੀਡੀਏਟਲੀ ਉਸ ਕਲਪ੍ਰਿਟ, ਉਸ ਗੁਨਾਹਗਾਰ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਅਫਸਰ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ FIR ਦਰਜ ਹੋ ਗਈ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅਰੈਸਟ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਡਿਸਮਿਸ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਤੋਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੱਲ ਹੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ।
आम आदमी पार्टी दरअसल गैंग्स और माफिया पर क्रैकडाउन नहीं कर रही, उनको समर्थन दे रही है।
अमीर आदमी पार्टी को इधर उधर हाथ पांव मारने की बजाय पंजाब में शासन दिया है लोगों ने, तो वहां पे कंसंट्रेट करना चाहिए।
ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਹਾਲ ਤੱਕ 4 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਗਿਲਾ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਸਨ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਨਿਕੰਮੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਹੈ
It is not just cop criminal nexus. What is evident now is that there is a cop criminal and politician nexus. Breaking now on News Epicenter is the inside details of how Deepak Tinu made his escape. Top sources are telling CNN News 18 that the Mansa CIA, Preetpal Singh, had taken Tinu to meet his girlfriend. What kind of understanding did they really reach? And how much money was paid to Preetpal Singh for arranging this kind of meeting? Preetpal Singh, who is now suspended and an inquiry has been initiated against him, is the black sheep in this Punjab police nexus that we keep talking about. He has also served as a member of the SIT probing Moosewala murder. If there was this understanding between him and the accused, then can we really say that there will be free and fair probe? Preetpal Singh accompanied Tinu to a hotel in the town of Junir. So that's where he actually escaped from. Tinu had grown close to Preetpal Singh, and it was he, then realizing that Preetpal Singh and he were completely in sync with each other, he prepared his escape. Preetpal Singh had provided mobile phone to Tinu, and that is what the investigation has also revealed. And these mobile phones were recovered from his barrack 2 weeks before the escape. Tinu had called his friends to be ready with a car because he was going to meet his girlfriend at a hotel, and Preetpal Singh, who was the CIA in charge, was in fact responsible for this escape. What is worse and shocking and deeply shameful for Punjab police or cops in any part of India is that Preetpal Singh was asleep in another room when Tinu in fact escaped. So what is worse is the details that are emerging in this investigation, which is clearly showing that there is much more than what meets the eye. Joining me now, Anil Sareen. He is the chief spokesperson of Punjab BJP. Arshpreet Kadial is advocate and spokesperson of the Congress. Dr. Sunny Ahluwalia is the spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. We also have Hemant Atri, senior journalist. Yashwardhan Azad, former IPS officer. Yashwardhan Azad, a cop here is an accomplice. And so what does it reflect on the overall investigations so far?
Well, I can say only this much, that the entire investigation is botched. And the worst part is that the Moosewala incident had raised such a hue and cry in the entire state. How can you allow a criminal who is taken out of the jail to go out in a private car and then visit a hotel? Obviously, it has not been managed properly by the senior officers. And the ostensible reason given is that he was taken out to find out something and to make some recoveries. This is a clear case of a conspiracy. This is a clear case of collusion. And this is nothing new, Maria. And that is why in such sensitive cases, you need a very strong upper hand. All over the country, this is happening. When the mujrim peshi is done by the people, by the constables out of jail or out of the police station and from remand, then this is what happens. Money is given to those constables, and then they attend to their personal needs. They meet their relatives. They go for good food and things like that.
Yes. So what is becoming clear here is, Yashwardhan Azad, that he is also the member of the SIT. So the investigation is botched up from the word go. Then why should the family of Sidhu Moosewala, who is expecting justice